Well, we sorted things out. Okay, I think I've started the stream, but on the waiting list thing, the the waiting screen. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to RTE Prime Time. Today I am joined with Leah, the Director General of the oh no, because this pressures the National Union of Journalists. Um, Talking about the media sector strike. Earlier today, the NUJ announced a nationwide media strike action against the appointment of Gigam 15 as the Minister for Justice, where in a statement, Deputy Secretary General of the NUJ said that Gigam 15 is a known suppressor of the media, a man who has previously deregistered media companies and as recently as yesterday issued threats to do so again. So this union should not capitulate. Oh, I'm so nervous, sorry. The NUJ also said in this statement that their action will, open quote, persist until the government removes Gigam 15 from his position as Minister of Justice. So now we have Leah on set with us, and I'm just going to ask a quick few questions regarding the strike so we can get a better understanding and so the nation has a clearer view of what's going on. Okay, so Leah, do you just want to introduce yourself?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm honoured to be here and I'm honoured to be representing the wonderful journalists of the National Union of Journalists. Um, I'm here because I disagree with what the government has done in their appointment of Gigam 15 as Minister of Justice. It was a bad move. It was It was a move that has been condemned and really, really taken against by people in the media sector. And this union, we're fighting for that and we're fighting for it to be changed. I mean, it's completely unacceptable that someone who's suppressed media before is in a media position. I'm here to disagree with that. I'm here to fight for the right thing, which is the removal of him. And yeah.
Okay, great. So, as you stated, the NUJ's repeated attempts to engage with the government and lawmakers to advocate for media representation have been met with obstinate silence. So, is it this silence maybe that is being referred to that has led to the strike being the only option for you guys over there?
Well, we made multiple attempts to reach the Taoiseach. She didn't respond. She was talking to us for a few moments, then stopped responding, stopped speaking to us at all. We were presenting reasonable solutions to the problem. We were presenting a way forward that still incorporates our media sector into the government, into representation. We were speaking to them about that. It was an okay conversation. We were completely cut off. We were left with no communication to the government. Um, so we held a vote, and the union did vote to strike. I mean, what else was there meant to do? We made multiple attempts to reach the government, and we were met with silence. How is that acceptable? What else were we meant to do?
Yeah, so you speak about trying to reach the government and the Taoiseach ignoring you on many occasions. Could you go into more depth about specifically what you've requested and what you've said?
Well, like I've spoken about on RT before, we were looking for a media department within the Department of Communities, Culture and Language. Alongside, we were pushing for the removal of Gigam as a minister fully. But again, we were still open to negotiating. We were open to at least speaking with them, at least talking to someone from the government, but wasn't going to work. So we were advocating for media representation within the government on a level within a department where it's completely under, like there's a designated group of individuals within the government who are tasked with media legislation representing journalists in the government, like there is in real life. There's a secretary of media under the Department of Culture, Art and Language in real life. I think that should be implemented 100%. I think that we need representation in this country. The media sector is a huge sector. It's a big sector, a lot of journalists in there, and they deserve to be represented and heard at the government level.
Okay, so specifically now moving on to Giga. A few days ago, the Social Democrats published a blog uh, and claimed that Giga was an open quote authoritarian dictator. Would you say that you agree with that? And did you see the blog? What was your immediate thoughts?
I did see the vlog. I read it. Um, I do have to agree with the Social Democrats in their interpretation of Gigum. He's a very authoritarian man. He's interested in power and asserting his dominance and his power, and it's completely unnecessary in a government that advocated for change, equality, and representation. This isn't what we voted for. Um, as a man, he is known that he abuses his power in any occasion where it suits him, and that's not something that we should be endorsing or that we should have to put up with in the first place. We elected a government that is meant to represent the people of this country, and they failed.
Okay, so obviously it's quite clear from your statement that the problem where the strike will persist until Giggle is removed from his position as the Minister of Justice. So, what would happen if the government refuses to act? Is there going to be like a timeline for the strike, or at this point, is it just indefinite?
Right now, we're going to be on strike. We're still open to talking to the government. But if they don't make any change, if they don't try to do anything, I don't see why we should remain in promoting Ireland and in promoting this government in any way in the media. So I think that that's what's going on. We'll be keeping talking to the journalists because that's what this is about. The core of this is about our journalists and the people in our union. So it's up to them. I personally think that the strike should go on as long as it's necessary, and I think that it should get more severe, and our demands should not be compromised. We shouldn't be compromising on that. Um, Listen, I don't know. I would urge the government to do so, but if they don't, well, there's not much that I can do. But what I will do is I will be out in Glasgow with a sign, and I will be protesting with my beautiful, beautiful compatriots in the National Union of Journalists.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So, have the government made any contact? What's going on right now up to date? What's been said?
Well, I've sent multiple messages to the Taoiseach, and there's been no response. When we issued the strike statement and we announced that we were striking, a few government ministers messaged me and they're like, "Who are you talking to?" The government, and I just showed them the messages that were left basically unopened by the Taoiseach. So we don't have any contact at the moment. There's a group chat that I set up a few hours ago just to ensure that there was a line of communication because I think that's important. We're not trying to go out after this government. We're trying to represent the journalists. We are willing to negotiate. We're willing to speak with the government. We urge them to speak with us. Stop ghosting us. Like get to your senses, please. And respond to the unionists and respond to the people who support and promote government affairs and promote the country. Who do basically the entire media for you. Like these people work hard and they deserve to be represented. We deserve, at the minimum, to have a communication with the government, and I think definitely we need to have that communication line. We do at the moment. It's not being utilised by the government. It's one-sided communication.
Okay, so we've spoken a lot about the government and what the government should, all about that side. And then what about specifically on Giggle? So obviously there's calls for him to be removed from his post. We've seen the Social Democrats, they've called him an authoritarian dictator. There's been some context in their blog about the context of obviously making those claims. So, what about you? What experiences specifically have you had with Giggle that has called for this action?
Well, me personally, I was a journalist when the first deregistered companies started to pop up under the Valor's government. That was a few months ago. I was new to Ireland at the time. I was just an intern at basically a media company. I was helping out where I could. And suddenly, Gigam 15, he issued this statement, and it was like, you're all disregistered and you basically can't function anymore. And it was really, really just random. It was unnecessary. And suddenly, this thing that we've been fighting for, pushing the truth and pushing the agenda of information, that was just stopped basically in an hour is what happened. And we were brought up before him in like this trial setting in government buildings, and he's basically said that he was sorry and that he shouldn't have done it, which I can respect. But then he did it again.
Yeah, okay. So, some are saying that a media blackout actually punishes the public more than the government. How do you respond to that?
Well, we aren't here trying to, punish the public. RT, this company here, they've been very, very nice about it. They haven't gone involved, which I can respect. I mean, they're still pushing the information out, so I think that there isn't really a lot of effect. I think that there's still multiple sources of information available from RTE, but the public has to understand that appointing someone who was a media suppressor and someone who has attacked free speech, it's not something that we can just sit around and do our jobs with. There needs to be action, and it isn't attacking the public. I know that it's not. I think a lot of the public agrees with us, and the government's polling shows that. So it's not attacking the public. It's literally just something that we know we have to fight for, and we know we have to advocate for change for.
Okay. And you've spoken a lot about how you're trying to make contacts with the government and with the Taoiseach, and that you've not been responded to. So now, obviously, you are on the national television. Would you like to make any specific calls onto the government just now?
Well, I'd like to say this. I'd like to say that the government made a bad decision by appointing Gigam as Minister of Justice, and the majority of this country agrees with that. It was a bad decision, and they still have time to apologise for it, and they still have the time to apologise to the journalists who were badly affected by it, and they still have time to speak with us. There's no reason that the government should be refusing to speak with us and refusing to at least communicate with the journalists who have been badly affected by his appointment, who have memories of when their businesses were destroyed and deregistered by him. It's not like it's any different person or like a distant relative. It's him. It's the exact same account. It's the exact same profile picture. It's him. It's the exact same person who made an announcement less than 6 months ago declaring that businesses were being deregistered because they weren't loyal to a government. Do you understand how we can't just sit around and stand for that? The Constitution guarantees our right to free speech, and it guarantees the protection of the media. And there has been multiple bills passed in the Dáil that protect media. So we aren't going to sit around. I urge the government and I urge the Taoiseach to respond to us. I'm going to start talking to the Taoiseach. I'm going to talk to anyone who's going to talk to us. We're willing to speak to anyone at this point. I'll speak to a minister for gosh darn potatoes at this point. But I want to speak to someone who is a government minister or a government official, and I want them to know our grievances and I want them to recognise our grievances. So I urge them to do that.
Okay, and just finally, before we move on to a quick break, how can the journalists and the public support your movement, support this strike to try and get more attention from the government?
Well, I'd urge them to come to our protest. I'd urge them to speak out. I'd urge them to speak their mind on it. I'd urge them to do what is your constitutionally guaranteed right and what we're fighting for. I'd urge you to utilize your free speech. I'd urge you to speak out if you disagree with it, or speak out if you support it. That's your opinion. That's what this fight is about.
Okay, amazing. So we're just going to go to a quick break now, and then afterwards we have arranged to speak to Brian more on this subject. Okay, thank you everybody for holding up with us during that short break. So now in the studio with me, I've got Brian, who has requested to come on tonight, just to, give some opinions on this matter. So Brian, what has made you come on today?
Look, look, what they're doing to our fabulous Minister Kingdom is truly horrible. It's truly a witch hunt conducted by the people
Why are we
deployed.
listening to a
Those
convicted
shut
felon speak?
shut up,
Well, I wouldn't call that
shut
speaking,
up,
but you know.
shut up. Next question. Right, can I carry on? Look,
Yeah, you carry on,
great,
Leah. Just give him a chance.
Hmm.
the great Minister Kingdom. We love him. He's great. He's a fantastic guy. A fantastic guy. Look, big boy and the corrupt NUG. They like to call it the Green Party. Actually, they like that's its new name. They're trying to make him look bad. He's a great guy. He's a tremendous guy, and he's gonna do some great things. And
Okay,
I
okay.
think this
I'm
is a
gonna have to
good.
stop here. I'm gonna have to stop you there. I'm just gonna have to intervene. So what I'm hearing, or lack thereof, is that you disagree with the strike, is that I'm inferring, and you've also said that the Green Party is trying to make him out as this bad guy. But I'm just gonna have to stop you there and ask, if they're trying to make him out as a bad guy, then why have they appointed him? And also now appointed him as Minister of Justice, and also now not willing to remove him from that position over the strikes. So I'm just gonna, ask for your.
I don't think he knows what the Green Party is.
Look, everyone knows I know a lot. Some would say I know the most. Some would say. Some would say I'm the greatest, and I'd have
Who
to.
are those
I'd
people?
have
Can you name
to.
five?
Look,
Okay, Leah, I'm
look,
gonna have to ask you to
shut
calm down.
Okay, okay.
Leah,
Jeez Louise.
Leah, Leah.
Oh no,
Thank you.
not Brian's making a
Look,
direct address to you now, Leah. You can respond.
he's a great guy. He's a good guy. Truly tremendous guy.
Why would a good
And
guy
he's
deregister media
Leah,
companies that spoke out against him?
Leah,
Is that not
Leah,
tyrannical? Is
Leah,
that not what Chinese, Russian, and North Korean governments
Leah,
did when
Leah,
how can you call that person a good guy? Like, I don't get it.
Leah,
And he doesn't have any remorse for it either. He says that he wants to do it again.
Leah,
Like, there isn't even remorse or
Leah.
admission.
Look, a good, he's a good guy. He knows a lot.
No, but why is
I'm
he a
not going
good
to make
guy?
assumptions. He
Okay, so what
probably
I'm
knows more
getting
than
is
you.
that Brian thinks Giggum is a good guy. Could we
Can't
get
tell us
some?
why though.
Could we get some backup on that, please?
Look, what this is a witch hunt. It's political interference, and we've got to stop it.
Okay,
I
Leah, do
think
you have
I
any
think we
questions for
should
Brian on his opinion?
Well, I don't have any questions about the opinion. I think the opinion is wrong, and I don't think he even know what he's talking about. But I'd like to ask him about
know a
his
lot.
doctor's arrangement. Like, do you have a doctor?
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Brian, would you
Hey,
care to answer?
look, I've got a great doctor. He says I'm capable and fit.
I-
Says
Is this who you guys have presenting primetime tomorrow?
he said
No,
I'm as
he's not
fit as
presenting
man.
prime time.
I I would hope not. Like, I would hope not.
Like, look, Leah, you're the same person that's causing this director of what we like to call the director of political prosecutions into me. And look,
I've
we're not going to
never
stand
spoken to
for
the
it.
director of political
Our
prosecutions.
political interference ends today because we're going to rise up. We're going to
Why
defend
are
our
we
country.
talking about your convicted felonies?
Yeah,
I'm not
okay, so
convicted of
can
anything. I'm
can I just ask
innocent
Brian,
I'm
could I
here to
until
just
talk about
proven
the
guilty.
journalists, not about your own personal criminal activities.
Look, you're honest, no, I'm saying you're the same type of person. You're probably the same person, actually. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked.
I'm
Look,
not the same person, but
look,
I'm glad
why
that you
didn't
think that.
you prove it? So why didn't you prove it? Why
Oh,
did, look, all I know is you rigged your journalist union election. That's all I heard. It was greatly rigged on scales that
I
we
actually
haven't
didn't
seen before.
run. I'm the deputy director general. I was appointed.
Well, you're probably
So where are you hearing about this election that didn't happen? Because I'd love to know. I would seriously, I would love to know where that happened, because I don't know.
you're probably the puppet master. Probably the puppet master.
You're gonna
That's what
plead
I've
as a
got.
puppet master? I mean, is this guy okay? Is this who we want in
Okay,
our government? Are we gonna have the
Let
same
your
old, fragile people in our
elected
government, or is it time for
journalist.
new people?
okay,
Is it
I'd like.
time for
Okay,
people who care about the
We have to
journalists?
make
Like,
this
what is
country
this guy talking
safe.
about? Is he okay?
We have
I
to make it
seriously,
safe.
okay. I'd just
it's
like to
getting to a
ask
point.
Brian about what came out earlier today. The charges filed against him. So, Brian, before I go on to any further questions, do you have any immediate statement for anybody regarding that?
The director of political prosecutions is a evil guy, a
I'd
tremendous
like to just recognise that Brian is now talking
guy.
about
He's
Lucas
a guy
Fitzroy.
that's in pocket of,
Can we take him
of
off the stage?
mayhem and those corrupt individuals like that. And I don't think the people are going to stand for it anymore. We're just not going to stand for it anymore.
Okay, so you've been
We're gonna make
formally
it
charged with multiple violations of the Official Secrets Act 2023. Could you give us any more detail about
Look,
Show us the messages
it
you
didn't
leaked.
happen. It didn't happen. I didn't leak a thing.
That's not what the prosecution office
Didn't
thinks.
leak a thing. It was
that? It's
all
been
part of
claimed
the
that you
crooked.
stand accused of
Wait, speak some
unlawfully
Irish.
disclosing classified
You're here in
information,
Ireland.
potentially compromising our national security and the integrity of the
An
state.
bilingüe tágad cabal de huelga.
Look,
Na man so síalta Tommy don seo chun leabhar faoin na man so síalta agus tá tú ag leabhart faoi cad atá ag hálínt de saoil féin de saoil pásanta agus níl sin cear go leir
the only
Tommy don
thing I
seo chun leabhart
compromised is your
faoin na
mum.
man an bhfuil tú cear go leir.
Okay, so just to wrap this all back up into the media
The only
strike.
thing I've compromised in my life
Okay.
is Leah's mum.
Okay, so we've had Brian on. Brian has claimed, I don't know, I'm just going to clear this up for the viewers watching at home, that Giggham is a great guy. The Green Party is trying to make him out to look like a bad person, even though they have appointed him as Minister of Justice, and that is what has prompted the media strikes. So we've got Leah here. Leah, do you have any reply that's not being intervened by Brian to give?
I don't know what he said at the end there. I don't think he knows himself either. But listen, this fight is about the voice of Ireland. It's about the people who represent
Look,
our country on the international
you
scale in the media sector. It's about the people who have been deregistered, had their companies
for you. I
sacked and
didn't vote for
removed
you.
by
Brian,
Minister
let Leah
Giggham.
speak.
Mr. Vice
Nobody
President, I'm
voted for
speaking.
you.
I'm speaking.
Excuse
Okay?
me, everybody. I'm just going to have to
Anyway.
intervene. Can we let Leah speak, please?
Thank you. Anyway, so this is about the voice of Ireland. It's about the journalists who have felt the effects of Giggham, who remember it so vividly. It wasn't that long ago. And this strike, it's nothing against the public. It's not trying to sway information in a certain way. It's genuinely about the constitutional impacts that Giggham had when he deregistered media companies. And he only backed down when we came together, when we united and we said, we're going to take you to court if you don't fix yourself, if you don't fix yourself up. And then he was like, no. And he backed down. And, if he tries anything similar, there will be legal action. I can confirm that. We have literally lawyers on standby.
Okay,
He has no remorse
could we
for his
expand,
action.
please, on legal action? Could we take a little expansion on that, please?
No, we're not taking legal action, but if he does make an attempt to deregister any more media companies, it's going straight to the court. We're not even going to try and negotiate with the government.
Okay. Brian,
Anyway,
have you got... Okay, no,
so
Leah's got... Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Just to finish. Listen, it's very important that we have an active media. It's very important that we have a media that is fair, that isn't under threat from any ministers, and that doesn't feel scared to report independently. And I wish Gigam the best. I hope that he makes the right decision and asks to resign or is removed. I urge the government to speak to us, and I urge our journalists to stay strong. And that's all that I have to say.
Okay, I've heard you there just say that we should have journalists and media that should not be scared to report. Could you just elaborate on that, please? So, are people scared at the minute? Could we just get a better insight on that?
They're
Well,
scared of Leah. She's a
Excuse me, Brian, could
commie.
you
She's
let
a
listen,
Leah reply
commie.
to my question, please?
if you're under threat of being deregistered because you want to report independently without government influence, that's fear. That's fear of your company being removed and deregistered just because it's trying to report independently. And that is fear. That's something that people are scared of in my union, and that's why this action has been taken, and that's why we're going to be fighting for this.
Okay, well, Brian, do you have anything else to say just before we head off?
Look, I think Leah, she was a terrible, what do you call it, director, the journalists. She has utilized our free press as a political machine. It was the weaponization of our
We're
media
all
system
apolitical,
against
but
you,
yeah.
Donald. Against you, Donald. Weaponization of our media system. And now she's trying to weaponize it against another political opponent. And we're not going to stand for it. And I
I'm not
believe
even
in the
gonna.
end, we're going to stand up. We're going to win.
Okay,
Beesh, we're going to win bigly.
okay, amazing. So I'd just like to thank everybody for coming on today and just speaking about the media strikes. We will be back on Sunday with another episode of Prime Time. I'd like to thank everybody at home for streaming into the
Ooh,
first episode. And also, I'm
well,
aware
thank.
that there is a show hosted by Brian tomorrow on RTE.
Oh
So if
my!
anybody wants to go and see that, that'd be amazing.
Everyone's tuning in
I
for
would
that.
love to go if I could hear him speak, but I don't think we can. So
Okay,
Look, Leah, nobody understands you either. They
anyway,
call you
I
Dribbling
thank
Leah.
you for this beautiful
Dribbling
experience.
Leah.
It was really, really great.
Dribbling Leah.
Thank you,
that's
Dribbling
RTE. We
Leah.
love you guys.
no,
Nobody
thank
can
you, Leah, for
understand
coming
you.
on. Okay,
Dribbling
thank you
Leah.
again.
Of
Good night,
course,
everybody.
of course.